Hello, my loves. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Today I have a what sold on eBay over in the month of August. But first, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about hurricanes. Now, I am in Florida and we are, of course, expecting Hurricane Ian coming on through. We are the day before it is supposed to hit us and we are starting to get a little bit of weather. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you what it looks like outside the day before a hurricane comes, because I know a lot of people aren't in Florida and they don't really know the realities of what a hurricane is. As you can see from that little clip, it's basically not raining at all, just, normal Florida sprinkles coming on through. There are quite a few more cars out on the street because everyone's, getting all their supplies ready to go. But the name of the game is pretty much get ready to sit in the house for a few days at most. So if you remember that feeling during the pandemic where you were just sitting in your house, that's basically what a hurricane is on any normal circumstance. If you are up north, pretty much like a snow day, you take the risk if you want to go outside and have a little fun, but the smart thing is to just stay inside. Pretty much the same thing. The good thing about having a hurricane day off of work is I have literally nothing else to do besides make some videos for you and of course go ahead and process some inventory. So I'm gonna get caught up on all the things that I'm backed up on and try to clean some things up. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over my August sales on eBay in this video. Of course, then I will come out with my Mercari video. Spoiler alert, there was not much going on in Mercari in the month of August, but of course, I'm gonna go ahead and share that with you anyways. But on eBay, the first thing to sell in the month of August was a new with tags Victoria's Secret pajama bottom shorts. These sold for $11.70. These did come from some free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. Now I do have an appointment with the same person that I sourced this free inventory with on Friday. It was supposed to be today, but of course the hurricane, we don't want to be, transferring inventory in and out of the car in the middle of a storm. That would be an absolute disaster. So we did push it off onto Friday, hoping that the weather would be better. If it's not better, of course, we will push it off again. But anyway, on this particular piece that did sell from this person, the buyer did pay for shipping. So I didn't have to eat the cost of shipping on it. This next piece, this was a Z&L, very colorful cover up for a bathing suit. This sold for $6.49. It did not have free shipping, so the buyer did pay for shipping on this. This did come from a Flyp, but it was some extra inventory that somebody accidentally sent to me, I believe. But on Flyp, you have the option of putting in extra inventory because it does, happen. So I did end up having to pay out the client for this as well. This cabbie under over black tank top came from a Flyp. This sold for $18 to the buyer. The buyer did also pay for shipping. Because it was a Flyp, I did have to then go ahead and pay out the client for it. These Forever 21 black and red embroidered shorts came from that free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. So everything was profit here to me, which was a good thing because they only sold for $2.25. Luckily, the buyer did pay for shipping for it though. This jockey black workout tank came from a ThredUP rescue box in which I estimated my cost of goods to be roughly $2. It sold for $12. The buyer did pay for shipping. Now, when they did receive it, it didn't fit them, so they did end up returning it. I do not have free returns, so the buyer did actually pay for that return shipping for it, which, didn't bother me. I got the inventory back. It is now relisted. This black torrid dress came from somebody else that I connected with through the Nextdoor app, but this I am doing a 50-50 split on consignment. This ended up selling for $18. The buyer did pay for shipping for it. So then, of course, I had to go ahead and pay out the person that I connected with through the Nextdoor app on their half of the deal. This next piece was basically sold just to get it out of my inventory. I wasn't going to use it and I just needed it kind of out of my house, so I sold it as a wash. This sold for $3.77. The buyer paid, I think, 99 cents for shipping. So again, I basically sent it out for free, but it was something out of my house. This did come from a health and beauty lot that I sourced through what is the name of it? Wholesale Ninjas was the name of the company. I sourced that, a little bit ago. Everything was starting to, get to their expiration date. So I'm trying to hurry up and get that out of my house. If I can't get it before the expiration date comes, then I will just have to kind of eat the cost and throw it away. If it is something that I'm going to use, like some of it is toothpaste, I'll use it. If it expires, I'm pretty sure toothpaste will be okay, but can't sell it in that state. But other things I might just go ahead and throw out if they don't sell. These cut from the cloth, the boyfriend jeans, came from a Flyp. These sold for $12 and the buyer ended up paying $7.99 for shipping. Now with this particular buyer, it was a back and forth kind of thing, because on the listing, I did put priority shipping. However, I did end up sending it out with first class shipping. I did have 3 or 4 day shipping handling time on this. So I checked the dates when it was going to get to the person's house, and it was actually going to get there earlier than the promised time. So I will admit my fault. I didn't think there was anything wrong with changing the shipping type, because it was still going to get to the person's house at the same time or earlier than the promised time as well. However, this particular buyer did not agree with me by any means. They thought that it was unfair that I put expedited shipping and then I ended up selling it or sending it priority shipping. I tried to explain to them that expedient and priority are the exact same thing. And anyways, that didn't matter because I ended up selling it or sending it first class shipping. They communicated through eBay, so they said, and then they said, okay, let's, this chat isn't working out. We are going back and forth. Why don't you go ahead and reach out to eBay? So I reached out to eBay and I said, is expedient and priority shipping the exact same thing? And they said, yes. However, we're confused why you're asking this question because you sent it out first class. So I again reached out to the buyer. I said, is your concern that you paid $7.99 or is your concern that I switched to first class? They again said their concern was not that I switched to first class. It was because I advertised as expedited shipping and then I shipped priority. I again explained that wasn't the case. They again said, reach out to eBay. eBay has all of their records of their chat. So I reached out to eBay again. eBay again said, I don't understand the question because it doesn't make sense. I did end up explaining to the buyer that they did not pay the entire amount for priority shipping because priority shipping would have been closer to $9 or $10, but I did actually give them a discount on that would have been priority shipping. First class was approximately $2 less, so I ended up just refunding the $2 and calling it a day on it. It was just too much for me. I think they were just trying to get something for free or get that refund, but instead of saying, can you refund me the $2, it was this whole back and forth thing. I don't really understand it. Yes, I was wrong for sending it first class versus priority, but the whole I did send it priority and I advertised expedient, I don't understand. I just realized I was pronouncing that word incorrectly this entire time. Obviously, this hurricane's getting to me a little bit. It is expedited shipping, not expedient. Don't really know where that kind of slip came from, but I just wanted to go ahead and correct myself because you were probably in your head correcting me all along the way, and it was bothering me just the same. So yes, I do know how to pronounce it, but I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna go ahead and move us on to August 10th. On August 10th, I did sell a Forever 21 skirt cover up. This did come from a ThredUP rescue box. It sold for $6. The buyer also did pay for shipping. On those ThredUP rescue boxes, I estimate my cost of goods to be just under the $2 mark. So I did make a little bit of money on this, but obviously not as much as you would hope. Now the next thing to sell actually came from my mom. This was a Hot Wheels 1970 Superbird and Roadrunner set. It was a Hot Wheels set. This sold for $12. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. Probably sold it for a little bit less than I should have, but my mom was happy to help me out with it. It is something that she sourced on her own, so I paid her out from that. I believe it was $6. These Diesel Thommer skinny jeans came from a Flyp that I ended up buying out. My cost of goods was $4 on these jeans. These ended up selling for $40. The buyer did pay a little bit for the shipping for it. We ended up splitting it. So I would say in that case, Flyp was definitely worth it because I did buy it out at such a cheap cost of goods. If it was on the consignment period as other pieces have been, I would have had to pay approximately 50% of that. So if you are doing Flyp, I recommend seeing if you can buy out the inventory straight away. A lot of times people are happy to just get quick money and not have to deal with it just in case things don't sell. But sometimes people want to go ahead and go through the consignment period because they know they're probably gonna get more money for it. So I don't blame them by any means, but I don't blame myself for trying either. These Miss Look floral pants came from a inventory lot that I sourced through Nextdoor, in which I am on consignment, so we're paying 50-50. These ended up selling for $8.50, and then the buyer did pay for shipping, and of course then I have to pay out the client. This leopard or animal print scarf sold for $5. This did come from a Quick Lots Amazon pallet, in which I estimated my cost of goods to be about 50 cents. So I did make money on this piece. If you are thinking in your head, I have seen this piece before in your What Sold videos, you are absolutely correct. I'm pretty sure this pallet came with about 10 of these, and of course this is just another one that sold. I think I still do have 3 or 4 of them left. This Neon Buddha bright blue sweater set came from a Flyp lot. This sold for $9. The buyer also did pay for shipping. Because it did come from a Flyp lot, I of course then had to pay out the client, and they're approximately 50%. This rough hewn red and cream shirt came from some of the inventory that I am working on consignment with through Nextdoor. This sold for $7.90. The buyer did pay for shipping. Because it is on consignment, I then of course had to pay out the client for it. This J. Crew gray and white linen blend button-up shirt came from Flyp lot. It did sell for $14. The buyer did pay for shipping. And then of course, like all items that sell with a Flyp lot, I did have to go ahead and pay out the client. These Gymshark seamless leggings also came from a Flyp lot. These did sell for $18. The buyer paid for shipping, and just like the previous piece, I did have to go ahead and pay out the client. This rubber 10-pound dumbbell came from some inventory that I actually sourced for my classroom back when I first started teaching. I don't remember, it was I think we were making some kind of like video or something where we had to pretend that we were strong. I think it was like the end of the year kind of thing where we're making like a memories video and we were saying we were stronger or something like that. I don't know. I had this like one dumbbell. It was just one dumbbell. So when it sold, I did reach out to the buyer to make sure they were aware that it was only one and not a set of 2. This ended up going all the way to California. It did sell for $10. The buyer did pay some shipping for it. I was able to ship this out in a priority flat rate padded envelope, and I was a little bit nervous that it was going to break, so I wish I took a picture of it, but I put tape all over it. I just wrapped it in tape just in case. The bubble mailer did rip in some way. The weight didn't come through. It ended up being just fine. I took it to the post office, and I usually just scan my items in and put them in the drop box. I did end up taking this piece in, and I kind of asked the suggestion of the postal worker, and they said, oh, it's probably completely fine. You probably did overboard, but you know, just better be safe than sorry. We made it there just fine, and the buyer was happy and ended up putting some positive feedback on it. This loft long sleeve floral dress came from some free inventory that I sourced through the Nextdoor app. This sold for $5.99. This is something that I could not locate for the life of me. I have no idea where it is. I searched through all of my inventory bins. I could not find this dress anywhere. So I did end up reaching out to the buyer, explain the situation. I said, you can get anything that is $15 or less in my store, or I can just go ahead and cancel the order. They did want to cancel the order. I was able to identify it was because the buyer requested that I cancel the order, and it wasn't because I didn't have the piece. When a buyer requests that you cancel the order, it's not a ding against you, but if you just go ahead and cancel it by yourself without reaching out, it does put a ding against your account, which eBay is all about their algorithms, making sure that you are the best status ever. So I was happy that the buyer did go ahead and say that they wanted to cancel the sale. That's typically what I do when I cannot find a piece. Most of the time, the buyer just says, go ahead and cancel. They were looking for a specific piece. In this case, the buyer did say if I did end up finding it, to go ahead and reach out to them because they still want the piece. This Diane von Furstenberg lip print shirt came from a ThredUP rescue box. Now it did have a hole in the seam. It did sell once before, and the buyer, of course, wasn't happy with that little hole. They said it wasn't represented, but I promise you it was. This buyer asked a couple of questions on it. I was able to answer those questions. They seemed like they could easily fix it, or it didn't matter to them because it was just on the seam in the back of the shirt. It did end up selling for $15.22. That 22 cents tells me that it was sent on an offer to a liker. The buyer did pay for shipping, and this was a global shipping order. So that means that this item went to somebody in another country. When it is global shipping, the shipping automatically goes to same-day shipping. So I had to go ahead and hurry up and ship this out, even though I typically have 1 or 2 day shipping. These torrid black workout shorts came from a Flyp. These sold for $12. The buyer did pay for shipping. Out of that $12, I did have to go ahead and pay out the client. This Bob the Minion 6-inch plush stuffed toy came from my mother. This sold for $12. The buyer also did pay for shipping. When it does come from my mom, she sends me pictures herself. I go ahead and do the listing. I answer the questions. Quite honestly, my mom could really do this on her own, but she is wanting to support me and love me and give me all this inventory, so I very much appreciate it. It is just such a wonderful feeling to be supported by so many different people, both in my life and in public life as well. It is kind of a surreal feeling to have different people cheer you on, and quite honestly, it's the best feeling in the world. So I, of course, go ahead and pass that on to others as well. If you have had any crazy sales on eBay that you would love to share with us, go ahead and put it in the comments. I would love to go ahead and shout you out and cheer you on just the same. Moving on to August 29th, this Club Monocle wool sweater came from a Flyp lot. This sold for $9.40. The buyer also did pay for shipping for it. And then also these Marika Ombre leggings came from a ThredUP rescue box, which I estimated my cost of goods to be roughly $2. These ended up selling for 99 cents. The buyer did pay for shipping. The buyer did provide some positive feedback. They were so excited to receive them. And on my end, it was something that I was happy to let go of because there really wasn't that much interest on these leggings. So they were, out of my inventory system so that I could replace it with something else. So that was all of my sales on eBay in the month of August. Like I said, I am going to be going ahead and sharing my sales on Mercari on the month of August. And then of course, I will be updating you on the hurricane as long as I keep power. If that sounds interesting to you and you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That allows my videos to continue to show up on your homepage and the homepage of others, and it allows us to continue to learn and grow together.